We stand on the edge of a hillside, looking beyond. Khara is in the distance, and we enjoy a quiet setting. We are comfortable, at ease, knowing we are at peace. The sky fills our minds, and a hawk catches our eye. We fly with it, feeling a rush of gladness as we let go of remembered things. A conflict, loss, hurt, struggle, and finally, rejuvenation while we worked through some of the best and worst moments of our professional lives. Lives that were already hard were made more difficult when an armed insurgency began in 1996. Over a decade, 20,000 people were to die. Many were displaced, and humanitarian and development interventions became more necessary than ever. For hundreds of years, people living in hard-to-access areas of Nepal have led challenging lives. Rukum and Rolpa are no exception, and most often in such mountainous areas, people face deep poverty. They experience lack of access to basic infrastructure, such as water sources, and in many instances, absence of good governance and opportunities to developmental growth. 10 years of despair and hope, 10 years of strife, and a new political outcome. These were the years we worked to make a difference. We had our doubts, we were wary. We had to work in a place where the lack of rule of law would be dangerous. Many organizations had left due to the conflict. In the heartland of the war, we found that the strong had been given an option of joining the militia or migrating to another nation. The condition of the woman and the extremely marginalized had become much worse because most men had left, leaving productive land barren, and basic survival was difficult as food was becoming scarce. It was a period of uncertainty. Recruited soldiers were trained and prepared to fight for a revolution. We were in the middle of a war-prone area where at any time on any day we would be the target for both sides of the warring parties, either the Janamukti Sena, People's Army, or military.
We felt unsafe because if the government forces saw us from far carrying bags, they could become suspicious and shoot us. And the People's Army could have done the same.
There was real and present danger at all times. Under such extraordinary circumstances, our staff showed great bravery and worked under circumstances that threatened their lives and well-being. In areas where war hit the hardest, cameras and other devices were viewed with suspicion and could endanger the lives of those who carried them. Therefore, communication methods such as human carriers had to be used. Messages were written and a person would carry them, sometimes for several days. There were many issues to address: lack of road links and access, productive lands that were barren, school buildings that were dilapidated.
At that time, it was impossible to think about people coming from outside to work in the village. We received support from local non-governmental organizations. We went around with representatives and we discussed things with people at different levels. We clearly explained the purpose of the program to everyone and for whom it was meant to be. We came to an agreement to start the project from the road. The people said they wanted to see if we keep what we had promised, and thus we started.
So we carried out technical interventions, and roads, schools, and water supply systems were built. First came the road, heat, dust, and sweat. Local people gathered, carried loads, assembled rocks, among them women and men bringing down social barriers that once held them back.
We explained our yearly work plan to the people from the district government. We clarified for whom it was meant to be, and we got their approval. At that time, the people's government was formed in the village. That was called the village pramukh. We also informed them clearly about our activity, and that encouraged them to put trust in us.
The road paved a way to economic opportunities. We saw it, the local people saw it, and the Maoists too. Throughout all these endeavors, we gently introduced the concept of a gender-sensitized approach, which permeated our communication with Maoist and Rukum and Rolpa inhabitants. The project goals were clear before us. We were taking the necessary steps, and we felt for the local people's hardships as we focused on balancing infrastructural development with programs related to social reformation and inclusion.
Can women really begin to work in society? Can they really achieve success was one of the key issues. Slowly, our sisters came together in the training center where they received adult literacy classes. They began to understand the center was for them. Problems were shared, women got united, and what can women do to address a situation was a key question and realization.
Convincing people about social change in the beginning was a daunting task. It meant changing their way of thinking that had been passed down over generations. Our strategy was to first convince key persons in the community, then through their influence, generate interest, understanding, and participation in the rest of the community.
Our social mobilizers established a good relationship with the communities. From the ground level, we tried to understand their needs regarding income generation, the development of women, and a balanced society. We discussed this issue with the women in the informal way and stressed their right to equal opportunities. Then we started our work. The Maoists suspected us to form an organization to carry out activity against them.
GIZ learning centers played a critical role in bringing women together. Before, there was no sense of solidarity among them. Each woman was isolated from the other, and when a problem occurred for her, she suffered the highest degree of isolation. From health and sanitation, kitchen gardening, to proper disposal of kitchen waste, gender equality, a majority of females and few males gathered to identify present situations, problems, and seek solutions and form action plans to be acted upon. Sometimes we wondered how safe we were. We thought about our families and responsibilities to them. We were out in the field. There were reports on the news on a daily basis of gruesome death. Everyone at home were frightened, and it was with great courage and fortitude that they allowed us to come into the war zone and work. We have to be thankful to them.
At that time, Rukum and Rolpa were central points during the conflict. When my relatives asked me where my husband had got his job, and when I said Rukum, they would exclaim, "Why has he gone to a place like that?" That was the situation then. I was very worried. There was a battle today. Tomorrow we would hear so many people were killed. This was usually the kind of news we heard. For a month, 25 days, 20 days, 15 days, we were out of touch and I didn't know where he was, how he was.
We felt strongly about our responsibilities to the local people. We thought if we worked earnestly, no harm would come to us. In Rukum, we felt the people really wanted a project as well as support to help them achieve sustainable livelihoods. Depth of beauty is heavenly, and the notion of why such a place should be swamped in political turmoil, insecurity, and crime touched our souls. We were uncertain, but the people gave us hope. They believed in us and they worked with us. Today we see progress that grew with it. A bustling market, traders, travelers, and accessibility. School buildings are being used in a positive manner. The dropout rate for the girl child has decreased, and enrollment among young women even after marriage has increased. We saw the brown dry earth change texture as it was given life, and potato ginger plantation became successful and brought much needed food and cash to the local communities.
Even though an organization such as GIZ leaves this place, we will have with us what GIZ left behind with us, what they taught us. We can use the knowledge and skills to earn our livelihoods, is what I feel.
Lives changed. We feel they've become better. Now our staff have been through